In our last video, we considered projectile motion definition, and I told us that we have two shapes in a projectile motion. That the first shape is when an object is launched on a cliff, and the second one is when an object is in a parabolic path or curve. Please take note. So we are considering the second shape in a projectile motion, that is when an object or when a projectile motion is in a parabolic path. So this is the shape here when an object is in a parabolic curve. This is the shape, okay? All right, this is the shape here. This is the shape. Now, along this axis, in this shape, we call it range. So class, along this, we call it range. Please take note. Now, we are going to consider the definition of range. Along this part here, we call it maximum height, and it can be represented as edge mass, okay? While the time taken to cover the maximum height is called maximum time. Please take note. So now let's try to define these parameters in this shape and their related formulas. So let's define, or let's know what is range. Let's know what is range. Please write number one from this range. Okay. Horizontal distance in a parabolic path. So range is a horizontal distance. Of course, along this side here, we call it horizontal. So in a parabolic path, the distance here is called range. So let's take the mathematical representation of range. So mathematically, range is equal to u squared sine 2 theta over g. This is the mathematical representation of range. Please take note. Okay, let's take the next one here. The next one is maximum height. Okay, the next one is maximum height. The next one is maximum height. Okay, let's define what maximum height is. Vertical height in parabolic path. Vertical height in parabolic path or curve. Okay, so this vertical part here, this vertical part here, this vertical part here in a parabolic is called maximum height. Please take note. So let's take the mathematical representation here. That is h mass is equal to u squared sine squared theta over 2g. Please take note. So the next one, the third one here, class, the third one here is maximum time. But let's take a definition here before we take the mathematical representation. Time taken to cover maximum height time taken to cover maximum height. Please take so the time, the mathematical expression here, T mass is equal to plus U sine theta over G. Okay. Then let's take the last one here for this video. That is the last formula here for we have time of flight. Okay, the time of flight plus, let's take a definition here. Time taken to cover range in a parabolic path. Time taken to cover range in a parabolic path. Okay, the time taken to cover range is time of flight. So let's take the mathematical definition. T is equal to 2u sine theta over g. Okay, so this is the formula for time of flight. Okay, now let's understand this properly, class. In terms of projectile motion, we have two shapes. The first one is when an object is launched on a cliff. The second one is when an object is in a parabolic path. How do we know when a question is in a cliff or tower? How do we know when a question is in a parabolic path? Then this is what you have to understand here, class. Whenever you are given a question and in that question, cliff or tower is mentioned, to be able to know that that question is a projectile motion when an object is launched on a cliff. Or sometimes cliff and tower might not be mentioned there, but in that question, in that projectile question, there is no range, there is no maximum height, there is no maximum time, there is no time of flight. If there is no maximum height, range, time of flight, maximum time statement like this, it means that that particular question will be a projectile motion under cliff or tower. That particular question will be a projectile motion under cliff or tower. But whenever these words here are mentioned, range, maximum height, maximum time, and time of flight, it means that that particular question is under parabolic path. Okay, now let's solve the question here to understand this properly. Example 1. Let's solve this question here, class. Now, before we solve this question here, let's know what the question is. They said an object is projected with a velocity of 80 meters per second at an angle of 30 degrees to the horizontal. The maximum height which is, so earlier before now I told us whenever we see or whenever we hear that word maximum height, it means that that particular object or that particular projectile motion is under when a projectile motion is in a parabolic path. Okay, now from this word here, that is maximum height, it means that this question will be solved under the second shape. Okay, so the first thing you have to do first is to list out the given parameters here. So we have this to the solution. So let's list out the given parameters. Now from this particular question here, the Velocity is given to us here, that is u is given to us as 80 meter per seconds. The angle is given to us, that is theta, is given degree, okay, and g, which is a constant value. Since it's not given to us here, we use the approximated one, which is what, 10 meter per second square. So let's write down the formula for maximum height. The formula for maximum height is h mass is equal to u squared sine square theta over 2g. Please take note. Let's replace this. This is 80. This value here is squared. You square the value. Okay, this letter here is square. You square the value. This is sine square 30. The angle here is 30. You replace 30 over 2 times 10. Please take note. So the next thing we have to do here is to simplify. That is our maximum height is equal to class 80 all square. 80 all square simply means 80 times 80. Now we have this to be 6400. Please take note. Times, okay class, let's understand this expression here. We can see sine square 30 in our calculator, but there's other way to express sine square 30. Okay, now we say that in terms of, please listen to me carefully, okay? So that in terms of angle, that whenever you have sine square theta is the same thing as sine theta or square. Please take note. So we can only express this in our calculator. That means theta means, where's the answer of, maybe if I have theta as 30, sine 30, and you square the result, that's what this one means. And this is equal to this. So that means this expression here is the same thing as sine 30 all squared over 2 times 10 will give us 20. Okay, so now let's press our calculator here. If you punch your calculator, sine 30 will give us 0.5. So I will have this to be class. I will have this to be 6400 times 0.5 all squared over 20. So when you punch your calculator, we'll have this to be 80 meters. Okay, so all you have to do to get more questions on this is to hit the subscriber button. Okay,